Alright, in this video I'm going to talk about some good ways that you can find a deal on some real estate here in Vancouver so you can start possibly flipping homes. I'm that Agent Kelly. I talk about real estate, I talk about real estate investing, I talk about my local market of Vancouver, BC. If you get any value or entertainment from these videos, all that I ask is that you thumbs up and subscribe. Let's get into this video. Alright, so the first thing, or maybe not the first thing, but one of many things that you could look at when trying to find a deal in Vancouver is you're going to have your realtor pull title for the property you're looking at, and if there's multiple people on title, if it's an investment property and there's multiple partners on that deal, there's a better chance that you're going to get a better deal on that property. So let's say it's $1 million home, you're writing an offer at $900,000, that's your highest and best offer. It's a lot more likely that 3 people are willing to take a $100,000 hit as opposed to one person, right? 3 people, they're like, you know what, we need to get rid of this property. We're only losing, an extra $30,000. Whatever, let's just get rid of the headache. I don't want it anymore, right? And then there's also, the potential that there's some animosity going on between the partners and they need to get rid of it for whatever reason. With one person on title, they're a lot less likely to take a $100,000 hit, and they only have to answer to themselves. They don't have to consult anybody. The second thing is if there's multiple mortgages on title. So if there's a home with 2 mortgages on it, they may be in a position where they're over leveraged, they can't afford their monthly payments, and they need to sell that home, right? They're not just selling it to try to get the best price possible or whatever. They may be in a position where they actually, no matter what, need to sell that property. So that's the second thing I'd probably look at and see if that there's multiple charges on title. Third thing that I'd probably look at is what did they actually buy the home for, right? If they bought the home last year for $950,000 and it's listed at $1 million right now, it's a lot less likely that they're just going to take a $40,000 or $50,000 hit on that home, because when they bought it, they had to pay property transfer tax, lawyer fees. When they're selling it, they're paying realtor fees, so on and so forth, right? So if you find a home that they bought 10 years ago for $300,000, it's listed at $1 million, they're a lot less likely to accept a lower offer on that home because they've already got so much equity in the deal. Fourth one, this is going to be kind of obvious, is foreclosures and estate sales. The next thing that might be obvious is foreclosures and estate sales. So typically with an estate sale, you're going to have multiple people, not always, but a lot of times there's multiple people that are going to get the proceeds from that sale, almost like having multiple people on title. Those people probably don't care too much about how much profit, a lot of the times how much profit they're getting from the home. They just want to sell it and cash out and go do whatever with that money. When it comes to foreclosures, the banks aren't trying to hit a home run on these properties. They're basically cutting their losses at this point. They've taken control of the home. That's the very last thing that they want to do is foreclose on a home. They got to pay a realtor to sell it. They've got to go through the court proceedings. They're dealing with an angry customer, whatever it might be. They're just looking to get that property off the books, so they may be willing to take a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 hit on market value just to get that thing off the books, get rid of the headache and dump it, because they're paying people to oversee this entire process, lawyers, realtors. There's probably somebody managing the transaction within the bank's organization, all this stuff. They just want to get rid of it. The next one is unlivable properties. So a property where the inside is completely trashed. The reason why you might be able to get a good deal on this is because properties like that, a normal person, for starters, wouldn't want to buy it. And secondly, you usually can't go through a bank or an A lender to get a mortgage on that property, meaning pretty much the largest portion of the buyer pool, like 90% of it, is wiped out from even competing with you on buying that property in the first place. So there's a much, much better chance when there's less competition that you're going to get a deal on one of these properties. Properties that have sustained multiple price reductions. There are a lot of properties out there right now that have been price reduced 3 times. The psychology of a seller, once you've reduced the price 3 times, in their mind, they're like, oh my God, this thing's never gonna sell. We're never gonna get rid of this house. We're never gonna be able to downsize or move to the island or move to the Okanagan. And all these thoughts are going through their head. So once they've done a couple price reductions, they're a lot more likely to just be like, all right, whatever, we have an offer, take it off my hands. Vacant properties. So properties that are vacant, no tenant in there, nobody living there. Whoever owns these properties likely has a mortgage on it and they're hemorrhaging money every single month. and it's in their best interest to just get rid of it as soon as possible. Obviously, if you're offering them 50 grand below what they want and they're only paying $3,000 a month for the mortgage, it's not going to be that enticing for them. But at the same time, there is that constant psychological pressure in their mind that we are losing money every single month. What happens if this thing never sells? Then I got to get a tenant in there, blah, 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 blah. All of these thoughts are going through their mind. So vacant properties could be a great way, especially if it doesn't show very well, to try and get a deal on a home. And then there's tenanted properties. So the first thing that you can do when you're looking at properties online, right off the bat, if there's only pictures of the outside of the home, that's a pretty good bet that the house itself is tenanted, because if it wasn't tenanted, they probably would have taken pictures of the inside. When it comes to tenanted properties, a lot of the time you'll have a tenant that's paying way below market rent and the investor just wants to get rid of it because they're paying, $1,000 below market rent. And they can't up the rent on that tenant, right? So they just want to dump that property, get rid of it, move the money into something else. The other thing is that maybe they've had, maybe they're having problems with this current tenant. Maybe they've had 2 or 3 bad tenants in a row and they just want to completely get out of real estate altogether. They've had it with owning investment property. And, maybe they've owned this property for 10 years. They're in a massive positive equity position and they're just looking to cash out and get their money and get out, right? Another thing with the tenanted properties is it goes back to multiple people on title. A lot of the times these tenanted properties will have multiple people on title. It's just a decent setup for a property where you might be able to get a good deal. All right, so there's several things I would look for if I was trying to get a good deal in the Vancouver real estate market. Again, I'm that Agent Kelly with Stonehaus Realty. If you enjoyed this video, thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.